Thanks for standing by and welcome to day 2 of the NWR Virtual Healthcare Conference. My name is Matt Wright and I'm hosting the event today. Once again, looking forward to bringing you a range of both private and ASX listed company stories today. And we're getting into it with Nicolab being our first presenter, one of the private companies who's on the schedule today. Joining us from Nicolab, we've got Michael McWilliam, who's the CEO, and Meryl Bowers, who's the founder and director of the company. Nicolab's groundbreaking technology enables fast and accurate image analysis that helps physicians in making well-informed decisions with regards to stroke, something that 1 in 4 people will suffer in their lifetime. Nicolab has developed Stroke Viewer to support the complex process of clinical decision-making in a world where every minute counts. Just a reminder with regards to asking questions, please feel free to type them in using the Q&A option within Zoom. But without further ado, I'll hand it over to Michael and Meryl.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks to the NWR team for the invite to be able to present to you all today. I really much appreciate the opportunity to do so. We'll cover off a little bit about the technology from Nicolab and sort of the reasons why we've existed, and then also the sort of the opportunity for sort of where our company's going in the future as well. And you'll hear from Meryl shortly. Meryl was one of the co-authors of the revolutionary Mr. Clean trial in the stroke industry, which helped to redefine stroke care and really was about the importance of medical imaging to assist the clinical domain through the acute care condition of stroke. It's a really time-sensitive condition. Obviously, we know that there's significant impact on patients when the patient has a stroke. Our technology includes both a platform and an algorithm, a combination of algorithms to be able to support the diagnosis of stroke in the acute care situation. So a little bit about our company. We're a publicly unlisted company, subsidiaries in the Netherlands with the operational headquarters there, and also teams in the US and Australia as well. We've raised funds several times in the past to help contribute to our research and development, and we have a partnership and reseller agreement with Philips, the global conglomerate in healthcare, with including an investment, equity investment from that company, as well as the co-development agreement as well. We've received grants from the European Investment Committee, and that's helped to fast track our commercialization as well. So the summary of our business is that we have commercial contracts in key markets in 3 continents across the European business and UK, Germany, Spain, Netherlands, Scotland. There's a whole bunch of countries in Europe where we have contracts and installations already live. We have the same thing in Australia with 2 large commercial contracts in Victoria and in Queensland. And we also have revenue and contracts in the US as well, particularly with the US Department of Veterans Affairs, also with a couple of other institutes for collaborating on our product development as well. Stroke Viewer, our landmark product, is certified with the regulatory approvals for both the TGA in Australia, CE marking and MDD in Europe, and FDA certification for the US as well. If you've been following, you may have seen that we had a FDA clearance come through just in December for the final algorithms that we did not yet have certified, that now gives us a full viable product for a go-to-market stretch into the US as well. So really we've got a strong footprint, more than 200 hospitals contracted, and revenue and personnel regulatory across 3 different continents. So I might hand over to Meryl now. We'll just talk a little bit about the high-level sort of highlights for us as a business.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And Michael, you can skip to the next slide because I will be covering this. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, so first of all, what I want you to know is that we are dealing with a massive and growing problem of 40% of the patients not getting acute care they need in time. And this creates a life-threatening situation. In fact, for 6 million people annually, treatment simply comes too late. This is devastating for patients, their friends and family, but also exposes a massive financial burden on the Western economies, making it the top 3 most expensive disease. In the US alone, they cost over $280 billion on an annual basis. Now, we've made it our mission to reduce those numbers drastically and are quite succeeding at it. Next slide, Michael. So why is treating a stroke victim so complex? The one thing I want you to remember is that every minute you delay treatment, you lose 22 days of your life. And this makes stroke treatment the most time complex treatment in all of medicine. Now, why is it so difficult? And that is because the average patient doesn't come in on a Wednesday afternoon in an expert center. He or she comes in the middle of the night in a small rural hospital when there's no expertise present. What you see is they have CT scans available, but they don't have the expertise to assess the scans and come up with a proper diagnosis in time. What happens is they have to call someone in the middle of the night, they have to wake up radiologists, they have to get someone who's inexperienced to do the assessment for them. And even in expert centers, you already see a 20% misdiagnosis of those stroke victims. Once they diagnose a stroke, they have to call other hospitals to see if this patient is eligible for emergency clot retrieval and have to arrange data and the patient being transferred to that site. We see futile transfers taking place. We see an excessive amount of rescanning taking place, and ultimately leads to 40% of the patient arriving too late for treatment. Now, we have made our mission to change this, and we are tackling two of the critical elements in this pathway, and that is reducing the delays and the misdiagnosis that stand between the patient and life-saving treatment. Now, based on 10 years of academic research, we have developed Stroke Viewer. And that is a platform using smart artificial intelligence algorithms combined with a cloud-native solution, ultimately delivering better care for patients. What we do differently is that patients still receive a CT scan in a hospital. We don't change that. But from that, we take over, meaning CT scans are automatically uploaded to our cloud environment. We have powerful artificial intelligence algorithm assessing the scans, diagnosing it and sending notifications to physicians in the hospital, but also to a hospital that ultimately should receive the data and the patients. They can share images with their colleagues with a single click of a button, but also outside of the hospital with co-workers around the planet. And this is a game changer. And of course, as a founder, I'm extremely proud of what we do, but you don't have to believe me. Have a look at the numbers, because those numbers are actually from independent studies performed by hospitals using our system. And for the sake of time, I'm not going through all of them, but just want to highlight two. And that is, with our system in use in clinical practice, they experienced 2.4 times more likely to be treated with emergency clot retrieval, and that patients are nearly twice, 1.8 times more likely to live an independent life after stroke, not needing lifelong expensive care. And this is drastically changing patient outcomes and, of course, the economic benefit as well for hospitals and society. So even for hospitals with our system in use, they already see a return on investment after 1 month of using our system. Next, Mike. Within our platform, we offer several artificial intelligence algorithms, and you can see them here on the screen. They are, as Michael mentioned, all CE certified for use in Europe. They're TGA approved to be used in Australia and New Zealand, and half of them we also have FDA cleared in the US. It's a broad range from algorithms leading from the left-hand side to bleeding detection on a plain, simple CT scan that is available in basically every hospital across the planet, to on the right-hand side, more complex assessment of CT perfusion imaging that's only available in the more experienced centers. So for every hospital doesn't mean if you're less experienced, more experienced, we have something in our portfolio that's readily available for you. And yeah, you can see the quotes below. We have happy customers working with it and a 95% retention rate to date. Next slide, please. So this combination that we offer, Stroke Viewer, the combination of the AI and the smart platform deliver a unique opportunity. What we see as well as our unique selling points is, first of all, indeed, we make use of the MistiClean data set. This data is from the groundbreaking MistiClean trial, as Michael mentioned, that changed the way how we treat stroke victims nowadays. It's the highest quality data across the world and also the most heterogeneous data set. We use it to develop our AI, but also clinically validate it. Second is we have a cloud-native product. Often what we're seeing is that competitors are still struggling with on-premise solutions or struggling even bigger to make the step from on-premise solutions now to become a cloud provider as well. Because it's a cloud-native product, everything is designed to be as such as well. From indeed our office in Amsterdam, we can do overnight implementations in Australia and get it live the next day. And this is pretty unique. Also, the cloud model allows us to do over-the-air updates, not needing to go to travel to hospitals with a USB drive and an update on it. We do that every Monday. Also, we see high gross margins with a cloud-based model because we have low maintenance costs. And what maybe the most important factor is that we see the users of the system. We see how they use it, how the experiences in the workflow, where additional delays are, and we can help hospitals train their staff better and be more efficient in their daily practice. And this is simply what they love, this ultimate customer service that we deliver. Third point is we have a regulatory first mover effect. I just showed you the algorithms, they are indeed all certified, but on top of it, we also have the only stroke dedicated platform in the world that is CE certified and FDA cleared to be used as a diagnostic platform on your mobile phone. This allows physicians to actually make a diagnosis on their mobile phone in the middle of the night when they're in their bed, because the quality of scans is deemed as good as the radiology monitors, and allowing them to not starting up tedious systems or doing risky procedures on a mobile phone that they can't do. The last one is the fastest image exchange system that we have. We tested it. It's even faster than Google or Amazon how to deliver it. And that means with a single click of a button, we have transferred gigabytes of medical data from one hospital to the other in a world where every minute matters. So this is a big unique selling point, which customers also really value of the solutions that we deliver. Next, please. Now, we operate in a market with some powerful key characteristics. And actually, we're touching not only one, we're actually in 4 growing markets extremely active. One is the acute care markets. We have the interventional neuroradiology space that we're operating in. We have the image exchange market and the diagnostic imaging market. And you can imagine with all of these markets, we also have different players that could be our partners, are already partners, like Philips, that we recently signed a partnership with on a commercial terms and also a strategic term as well. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Michael, who can take it from here.
Thanks, Meryl. And I'm sure you can see very quickly that we have both the platform and the algorithms to be able to assist with really quick and proven commerciality. Just looking at that across the globe, as I said, and just to reiterate my previous point, we have revenue and installs across 3 continents. We have a market leadership position, obviously, from our home base in the Netherlands, but we're seeing installations across many sites in Europe. We're one of the first companies globally into the German sovereign cloud program, and we're seeing a lot of opportunities in that market right now. We've got distribution agreements in other markets in Asia Pacific with different distributors in Thailand and Taiwan. Currently installing our first implementation in Singapore as well, and commercial contracts across a large number of regions as well. We have that reseller agreement with Philips also, and we're also working with them with some development in new products as well. With respect to our commercial expansion, we really recognize that the majority of our funnel comes from the US. We've only just received that final tick for the FDA certification for our perfusion algorithm. This now gives us the platform to be able to escalate our go-to-market activities in the US. Currently, we have sort of $1.75 million of annual recurring revenue across our global business. And we have a funnel of more than 4 times that for very qualified opportunities for the remainder of this calendar year. And the majority of those are also in the US. And so we recognize the need to be able to escalate our operations in that jurisdiction. So we're really looking for the ability to be able to fund our business with some growth of headcount in the US as well. So at this point in time, we've been able to achieve this recurring revenue position with just 5 sales team members. And our go-to-market strategy is really around escalating our commercial headcount to be able to support our growth across the key regional markets in Australia, the US, and in Europe as well. Looking at the opportunity size that we do see in the US, for example, that we've recently renewed our contract with the Veterans Affairs until the end of this year. We're looking at opportunities with some very large integrated delivery networks across various sites within the US. One of those is Trinity Health, another one is Advocate Aurora Health. There's also the HCA healthcare group as well, which are linked to us through our Texas Stroke Institute collaborations. And we have an installation in the Medical City Hospital within HCA going live later this year as well. So we already have a significant footprint in the US, but we're very much looking forward to expanding that and progressing some of these bigger opportunities as well. And if you look at the exit pathways, and you can see from the previous slide that Meryl showed, showing the alignment across different industries, the potential exit strategies are quite significant with some very big players across medical devices, imaging equipment manufacturers, big tech, where we're seeing a whole lot of focus on data in healthcare. Also, there's an alignment with pharmacy as well. And of course, one of the other exit strategies we would be exploring is an IPO over the coming 12 months or so as well. So we're seeing quite significant interest, from very different sources in our business. We recognize the need to be able to have a commercial footprint and revenue position to support that growth. And so really, what we're looking forward to doing is to be able to escalate our commercial pathways quite quickly. So if I could just come to the final slide and sort of really summarize of the 4 key tenets of our business. We believe we've got a really strong product offering with a platform for growth with product development that aligns to our core business as well as adjacent markets as well. As I said, over 200 hospitals contracted across 3 hospitals. We've got an annual recurring revenue position a little bit higher than that bottom left slide shows just there at this point now of 1.75 with some new business and implementation projects as well. We've got strong commercial partners, particularly with Philips, with their co-investment into our business, as well as with additional distributor partners across Asia Pacific. And we have a relationship with a group based out of Calgary in Canada as well. We have an MOU with a preeminent neuroscience research institute in Australia called Titan Neuroscience, and we're looking at the pre-hospital space and opportunities for federal funding in Australia as well. Future expansion along the product pathway and development pathway we spoke about, particularly with the co-development timelines with Philips. And we believe we've got a really significant value proposition for our customers based upon the feedback that we get every day as well. So currently have 15 months cash runway at our current burn rates, and we're really looking to sort of escalate sort of our growth position, so with additional support, over the coming months through a future raise as well. So, Matt, that's, I guess, the quick summary of Nicolab. Really happy to take questions and, look forward to hearing from you all.
Great. Thanks very much for that presentation. And as you've alluded to there, for anyone in the audience who wants to ask a question, please feel free to use the Q&A panel within Zoom. Firstly, Michael, you just touched on the Titan partnership, but what's the latest updates on that and how material could that be to Nicolab's recurring revenue base?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So Titan have a partnership with the Australian Stroke Alliance, and there's a big push in the moment to have a national telestroke model, sort of across a federated model of care. So not just looking at different state-based models, but moving towards a national focus. And so hoping to see that in the coming 12 months, there'll be funding released through the federal government for that model as well. So, we've had meetings just this week with the Australian Stroke Alliance management and very much looking forward to progressing that. Obviously, it's dependent upon federal funding models, but we expect to be able to see, some positive momentum with that over the coming 12 months.
Very good. The next question, as some of the other presenters talked about yesterday, there's been some sort of green shoots in biotech, and AI has obviously been a hot topic. So with regards to, a listing or an IPO, is that something that the company's looking at, and would that be in Australia or the US? Can you just add a bit of colour around that?
Yeah, great question. So look, I think there's a couple of inflection points that we recognise that we really need to achieve to have an IPO. The first one of those would be progression of the Australian funding model, and the second would be more commerciality and revenue coming from the US market as well. So at this point in time, I'd expect that sort of with the achievement of those indices, we should be able to see an IPO become more a focus on our radar for the next 12 months. More likely in Australia, I think we'd probably be looking at a different revenue position to require a NASDAQ listing. So at this stage, you'd think an ASX listing in the next 12 months would be, one of the really tangible outcomes that we'd be looking to achieve.
Very good. And another question that's come through from a couple of people is just with regards to sort of current cash position, fundraising, and what your cash burn looks like at the moment.
Yeah, so we raised approximately 7.4 million just at the end of the year last year, and really what we're looking to do is sort of to be able to accelerate our revenue. And so, at the moment we're burning approximately $600,000 a month, but we have more than 15 months cash on hand, and we have a couple of additional grants coming in over the next sort of 12 months or so, including I think it's 1.75 million from the EIC due in the coming months, and then a couple of million more from Philips due also. So it's sort of, really making sure that we become lean with our cash flow and making sure that we're very much focused on not increasing our burn. But if we do so, we do it in a targeted way to be able to accelerate our growth. So, we need to make sure that we're efficient with every dollar that we spend at this point in time. But we're very excited about the opportunities we have in our pipeline for new revenue with the product developments that we're working on as well.
Thank you. Another question is just around Nicolab's technology and IP. Is that solely applicable to stroke, or is there scope to take that into different applications?
Meryl, I might let you answer that question.
Yeah, sure. So we have two parts of the system. One is the AI algorithms that we have, and we have our cloud-based infrastructure. The AI currently is indeed CE certified, FDA cleared for stroke use only. It's dedicated for stroke. The infrastructure is indeed also available for other disease types. So we are currently indeed exploring that market. We're already doing some pilots in the US, in Brussels, and a few other sites. We'll be using our platform also outside of stroke, and the initial feedback has been really excellent. So indeed, we also see a use case outside of stroke, but it's too far away yet to talk around the commercial opportunities that we see there.
Thanks, Meryl. Another question was just with regards to revenue and sales momentum. How much of an impact do you think scaling your sales force will help this along the way?
Yeah, I think it's making sure that we make the targeted decisions, sort of looking at funnel and commercial opportunities. So we know that there's lots of investment from, the World Bank currently in stroke. Particularly, we've seen in Europe there's a focus on Romania from 2023, from Ukraine in 2022, and Indonesia in 2024. And so I really think it's important that we, we target the development using funding to support key resources in key markets, but also leveraging our distributors as well. So I don't think we need necessarily too many more headcount to be able to escalate in our current markets other than the US. And that's really where we recognize that coverage, because of the size of the country and the size of the market, the opportunity for reimbursement. So really, I think it's primarily investment in headcount in the US that will accelerate our growth, knowing that approximately half of our funnel comes from that market at this point in time.
Thanks, Michael. And just one final follow-up from the funding question earlier was just any further details you can give on that, on the 6.5 million just raised?
It was actually about 7.4 million. So that came primarily from existing institutional investors, as well as directors increasing their investment in the business as well. And sort of that focus has been primarily just to secure our cash flow position more than anything else. And now we're looking to accelerate a little bit further to help us with that commercial expansion.
Great. Well, that's all we've got time for, but thanks very much for the presentation today and for everyone for tuning in. And we look forward to keeping an eye on Nicolab moving forward.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Thank you for this opportunity.
No problem. And we'll be back in about 5 minutes with the next presentation, which is from Radiopharm Theranostics.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Matt.